The New Orleans Pelicans are giving the Phoenix Suns all they can handle in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Pels lose 114-111 on Friday, but they beat Phoenix 118-103 in Game 4 last night inside of the Smoothie King Center. The series now tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 will be tomorrow night in Phoenix. The Pelicans open as a 6.5-point underdog, which seems a little sizable, but nonetheless, it was an epic weekend inside of the Smoothie King Center. Chris Paul had his way with the Pels on Friday. 28 points for CP3 in that game, including 19 in the fourth quarter. But on Sunday, the Pelicans had their way with Chris Paul. 4 points the entire game in a playoff game in a double-digit loss. The Suns at times look a little bit lost with Devin Booker, and the Pelicans' young players are stepping up and kind of introducing themselves to the NBA world. Brandon Ingram continues to do epic things, and this is the best of 3 series now.
Yeah, it is. And look, to your point about Chris Paul, what makes it so impressive is that it's the young guys you just talked about who largely held him to those 4 points last night. I mean, it was largely Herb Jones. It was largely Jose Alvarado on CP3 all night, frustrating him to the point of a technical foul in that basketball game. So, I mean, they were in his head. And I think when you look at the New Orleans Pelicans last night, I mean, gosh, we almost sound like a broken record at this point. But Brandon Ingram, what he's been able to do in these playoffs, he's finally kind of becoming the player that everybody thought he could be when that initial trade with the Lakers went down and he came to New Orleans. It was a lot of potential there. And up until really the stretch run and then the play-in and now this playoff series, it's always been potential. Now you're seeing that potential realized from Brandon Ingram, and it's an awesome thing. And then if we're going to continue to sound like a broken record, just the success that the Pelicans continue to have in the third quarter this year, for them to separate the way they did in that quarter, go on that run at the end to get it to 10 points going into the final period, it's just it's from so many different people. It feels like, I mean, look, we can talk about, again, Brandon Ingram doing what he's doing, but Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, Jonas Valenciunis back again last night was just incredible. Then there's CJ McCollum. It comes from so many different places. And what they've been able to do in the third quarter, really the entire year, but especially here in the play-in and the playoffs, has just been special. It's just a complete 180 from last year in that quarter.
Complete team effort, like you said, but it all starts with one BI, game-high 30 points last night. He becomes the first player in Pelicans franchise history to put up 30 points or more in 3 consecutive playoff games. Ingram also joins Allen Iverson and LeBron James as the only players with 3 30-point games in their first 4 career playoff games since the NBA merger back in 1976. So Ingram is doing some historical stuff, and his team's winning, which is the most important thing. And then you mentioned Jonas Valenciunis. Man, did he really need a bounce-back game yesterday, and he got it. Really reasserted himself in the paint against the Suns. 26 points, 15 rebounds. That was after he only put up 6 in the loss against Game 3. When the Pelicans pulled away towards the end, there was a point in the fourth quarter where within 3 minutes, 34 seconds, Jonas Valenciunis scored 10 points, including a dagger three-pointer to put the Pelicans up by 9 with around 3 minutes left in the game. I think Jonas has struggled defensively at times. He's had trouble staying in front of DeAndre Ayton, especially in that Game 3. But the Pelicans are really tough to stop whenever Valanciunas has it going on offense. Even if he is lacking a little bit defensively, if he's giving you that scoring punch, the Pelicans go to another level, and that's what happened on Sunday.
Well, and you know, look, whenever I think of Jonas Valanciunis, I think of second chance points. I mean, that's something massive he brings to New Orleans. That guy is such a grinder on the boards just every single time, night and night. It doesn't matter if you're up 20, it doesn't matter if you're down 20. If Jonas is in the game, he's fighting tooth and nail for the rebound every time, and especially on the offensive end. And second chance points have just been a huge factor for New Orleans in this series as well. You mentioned that three-pointer he hit. First three-pointer for Jonas since April the 1st.
He was cold.
I mean, but normally that's when it happens, right? That's the shot that the Suns are like, you want him to shoot it. You know, that's the guy you want to shoot it, and he knocks it down. And it was just, man, it was that type of night for the Suns. The Pelicans played extremely, extremely hard last night.
They did. Monty Williams said that they played harder than the Suns did, and the Suns played pretty hard, but the Pelicans just were not going to be denied. And you mentioned the rookies. Let's talk about what Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones did last night. Starting with Herb. This man is a spectacular defender. Like, the things he does as a rookie are absolutely unbelievable. I can only imagine how good Herb Jones is going to be defensively just a few years down the road. But just right here, right now, in his rookie season, his first ever playoffs, last night, critical win for his team, he goes for 3 blocks. And all 3 of those blocks were on 3-point attempts from the Suns. He's the only player in the last 2 seasons, whether it be in the regular season or the playoffs, to block 3 3-pointers in the same game. Consider how hard it is to block a clean 3-pointer in an NBA game. You need a lot of space to get it off, and you had to cover a lot of ground to just contest it, much less block it. We've seen Herb Jones do that a couple of times this season, but the fact he's doing it against this team on this stage is unbelievable. And he also became the first rookie since Paul George in 2011 to get at least 3 blocks or 2 or more steals in a playoff game. Herb Jones, one of the best defenders in the NBA. I don't think that's hyperbole.
No, and he also had that awesome steal at the end, towards the end of the game as well, where he just cut in front, grabs it, and goes to the hole with it. He's all over the floor. I mean, but then there's also Jose Alvarado with forcing the 8-second on Chris Paul. There's the numerous steals he had, the big threes he hits. It was just incredible to watch those two guys in particular go to work on CP3 last night, because Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer, right? And he was visibly frustrated because he was getting shut down by 2 rookies, one of which was undrafted and on a 2-way deal until he was signed long-term, with a month remaining in the season. Chris Paul's sitting here thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, honestly, like, and it's not a shot against, at Alvarado or Herb Jones. If anything, I mean, it's more of the compliment. It's like, that's how great you are, that you're frustrating one of the game's bests right now, and you're doing it as a rookie on the biggest stage while the crowd's going crazy. The crowd's chanting your name. Not on Herb, is flashing on the Jumbotron. Like, those guys have had to grow up extremely fast, and it just hasn't been a problem. It's kind of just been like they're like, oh, all right, sure. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do.
They're exactly what this team was missing last year, whether it be defense, toughness, just giving the team some kind of identity, and they've definitely done that. It's unbelievable to think how rough they were with Chris Paul. Remember what we were talking about last time we had Playboy Marty on the show? I was talking about the series back in 2009 when the New Orleans Hornets played the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets were just really, really rough on Chris Paul. I think the Pelicans did a little bit of that yesterday, and not really dirty, but Herb Jones in his face. I don't know if you saw a sequence where Chris Paul kind of hit Herb Jones, like a little body check, and the ref saw it, and Herb was like, okay, I got you, and Herb got him right back. And the ref saw it, and he didn't call it, because kind of like an eye for an eye kind of thing. These are the NBA playoffs. They let you get away with that. And what Herb is doing defensively is impressive, but offensively too. I think he's really good in the open court, really underrated as a finisher at the rim. He uses his size well, gets good angles, and he makes his free throws, which I love. I feel like a lot of veteran players on the Pelicans have been missing way too many free throws, not seeing any of that from Herb, or not seeing a lot of it. And then to your point about Jose, just world-class defense, man. The noise that the stadium made when he forced that 8-second violation is probably the loudest I've heard Smoothie King Center all season. And he's not just a hustle guy anymore, like a Ryan Bowen type, got a lot of deflections, right? He's legitimately a good all-around basketball player. I call him Patrick Beverley, but with more skills. Remember on Friday night in the game that the Pelicans lost, there was a point in the fourth quarter where he was going tat for tat, basket for basket with Chris Paul in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. And Andrew Lopez, ESPN, tweeted out that same sentiment and said, that's totally a sentence I expected right in November.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we expected all of this in November, right? When they were 1-12, we expected them to be in a now a best 2 out of 3 with the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the NBA, who was a couple wins away from a championship last year. That's what everybody expected, right?
Nope.
No? Oh, just me then. Okay, yeah. No, not just me either. Nobody.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Here they are, best out of 3, and hopefully they win the series, like I said, but just the fact that they got this far, I think, like little things, Musso, little lessons that you learn along the way. Jay Crowder kind of got in the Pelicans' head for a little bit. Before the chainsaw started, he was drawing a lot of offensive fouls. A lot of times, Brandon Ingram stuck out the chicken wing, and Crowder would time his flop perfectly, and he would get the call. These are little things, little nuances of the playoffs that you have to be in to learn. Regardless of what happens going forward with these series, I think the Pelicans are taking home some very, very valuable lessons. And the fact that some of your best players, some of your core are young players, if not rookies, is super encouraging.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and look, and I know we've obviously talked about this a lot too, but the trade for CJ McCollum just changed everything here too. I mean, the rookies have been great. Bringing in CJ, bringing in Jonas, before the season as well. But it's to your point where it's some of your best players aren't rookies, but they're still young. I mean, Jonas is 29 years old, exactly. Right? I mean, he's got plenty of playoff experience, but he's got a long way to go. Brandon Ingram's still really young. He's your best player on the team right now, and I mean, look, if he keeps this up, even when Zion comes back next year, it's Brandon Ingram's team. Like, this is Brandon Ingram's team now.
This is Brandon Ingram's team. How many times have I brought up the 3-year thing, right? Chris Paul, his third season was when the team finally broke through, got to the playoffs. Anthony Davis, his third season was when the team finally broke through, got to the playoffs for the last time under Monty Williams. I always related to Zion's third season, but now that I think about it, this is Brandon Ingram's now third season in New Orleans, and you can see all the growth that he has made, not just as an individual player, but as a teammate, as a leader. And just like you saw with CP3, with Anthony Davis, when they won playoff series here in New Orleans, Brandon Ingram is kind of taking that next step as an NBA player. And when you combine that with everything else the Pelicans have going on, it really is a sight to behold, again, regardless of whether or not they win the series.
Regardless. I mean, that's the thing. Now you get greedy, right? Because we kind of had the way we started the segment. It was just go get one. I think they'll get one, and it'll be a great experience for them. That still stands true. This is a great experience for a really young team. Now you get greedy, right? Now you're like, you know what? Pels in 6. Go win it.
That's what they were chanting yesterday. As the final buzzer went off, the Pelicans defeat the Phoenix Suns. First round Western Conference playoff series now tied at 2 games apiece.